So, wherever you are, this is KMTV, Liberia's #1 online TV station. We are with the Honorable Senator of Lofa, Senator Steve Zago. So, Steve Zago, welcome to KMTV.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm so proud that you can come in my company so we can discuss the issue that you have come for.
Senator Steve Zago, you listen to several people around complaining about the issue of rape. Not only complain, but you've heard a lot on the media. And of later, about 3 days ago, people take to the street. What's your take on the issue of rape in Liberia?
Again, like I said, thank you very much for having me. The issue of rape in our country is appalling. The need for a national approach or a national strategy to fight this societal menace cannot be overemphasized. In my mind, I think we need to be a little more rigid, a little more thorough, and by so doing, we need to strengthen those institutions that are the first line, are the law enforcement institutions. So I would think that the Ministry of Gender in the partnership strongly with the Ministry of Justice and that of the Liberia National Police and law enforcement institution. In much is not an investigative institution like the Ministry of Gender. I would think that partnershiping with the sexual gender-based violence section of the Liberia National Police, strengthening that section, giving them the teeth to bite, build the capacity, provide the necessary logistics, they will be able to work with the community to ensure that we can nip this thing in the bud.
You are the upper house of the legislature, and you say they should bring in stringent measures. Are there not measures in place to deal with these people?
The law is as it is. Liberia, our own capital punishment does not amount to taking away of life, because we, as a country, we are signatory to all of those conventions. But howbeit, there are other punishments that could be associated with it. But first of all, we need to do sufficient awareness. We need to do sufficient shaming. And then we do all those things. Those are the proactive ones you do. Then what you also do is to strengthen, like I said earlier, strengthen the institution, strengthen the Liberia National Police, strengthen the law enforcement institution, ensure that there is a strong coordination between the Gender Ministry and the Ministry of Justice, and by extension the Liberia National Police and the law enforcement institution. When you do those things, then in my mind, when you strengthen their capacity to a large extent, be able to serve as a deterrent. And then when an arrest is made, we should be able to investigate thoroughly to a logical conclusion. And when that is done, I think what we need to do is to ensure that we put them behind bar with no condition of a bail, no condition of a parole. They should be, just recently, there was a country that just convicted a young man who went to a mosque and killed about 50+ person. They sentenced him for life imprisonment with no parole. So we need to do that. Those who will get involved in rape of all categories, there should be harsher punishment, and when they are sentenced with no condition, because the issue of parole is an issue that the Ministry of Justice will have to handle. So if the Ministry of Justice and like the government have come to realize this thing is a serious societal problem, we shouldn't give parole. People should remain there continuously. Why is true, will not take away their life, but will not have the liberty to come out again. When you start doing that and the story is told, there will be all who will intend to do that. I knew what happened to John Brown. But again, one of the things that I will call for, in as much we all want this harsher punishment, we should strengthen the capacity of those institutions so that you can falsely accuse people. As a former investigator, I went through a lot of cases. Some of them made up stories, some of them actual stories. When we have a professional person, you'll be able to dissect the make-up story from the actual story. And then if you're able to do that, then justice will serve its purpose. But justice will not serve its purpose if the wrong person is accused. And then given the council society will have to put the wrong judgment and the issue of collective guilt. So in my earnest opinion, we need to strengthen law enforcement institutions, ensure that the Ministry of Gender work with the Ministry of Justice and law enforcement institutions, specifically the police, and the women and children section of the Liberia National Police, so that we handle the thing thoroughly. We have the professional people, train them, get them the capacity. Let me give you one classic example. In South Africa, you got a Tutuzila model. What that does is that one-stop shot. If there's a rape case, in as much as we want to ensure that justice is done, but the survivor, the best care of the victim matters. So while the investigation is ongoing, that person needs to be given the kind of care for the foremost so that they survive. Again, that may to some extent undermine the strength of the evidence. So when we do more awareness, people out there will get to realize in as much that this evidence is not as strong, but there are strong indicators that the accused did commit the crime. So the kind of evidence you may want in, say, a murder case, where the culprit is the body, and then maybe the other it was a knife or a gun that was used, that be kind of fruit of a crime. So, but in a rape case, there may be an argument as to the cement. If the survivor and the survivor parent were not efficient enough to have gathered all of those evidence, it may weaken the evidence, it may weaken the case. Should that be a ground for acquittal? No, that should not be a ground for acquittal. Let us understand the peculiarity of our country. We are a third world country. We may not have all of the sophistication, we may not have all of the know-how. But when you have a strong investigative team, you have a strong investigator, you can bet that we can be able to nip the thing in the bud.
There are some people who are saying that if one is proven guilty of a rape case, should be castrated. Some are saying they should burn the person. Some are saying they should kill them. But of recent, the Catholic Church has come out to say, no, we should use the proper human rights law. And people keep saying that, yeah, the laws are there, but it hasn't been implemented. What's your take on that?
But again, if you say the law not being implemented, then the best thing you do in our jurisdiction is to challenge the law. So if I'm not certified for the law, I challenge the law. And that challenge can go as far as the Supreme Court. And so the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of legal issue. But in as much as I understand and empathize with Liberians, as per you saw for the past 72 hours, our women, our young children out there in the street trying to raise the bar on the issue of rape, I would not, as a former law enforcement practitioner, a lawyer and not a lawmaker, I would not subscribe to castration. I would not subscribe to death as a remedy. In my earnest mind, I would think we need more awareness. More besides, we need more training. We need more coordination. What I see lagging to the coordination. The Minister General, yes, you are a ministry, but you are not an investigative agency. So the Minister General should make it as a matter of compulsion to work with the Minister of Justice. Because the Minister of Justice has underneath it all of those investigative agencies, even to include the NSA. So when you can build a capacity, we do specialized training in those areas, and then we provide them with the required logistics, they require mobility, they require instrumentality, they require tools that they need to enhance their productivity, and then they be able to go after who be perpetrator, and then they're able to establish it. So maybe out of 10 cases, you're able to successfully prosecute 5, and then you place them behind bar, and they are behind bar for the rest of their life. In my mind, will serve as a deterrent. You don't necessarily have to take life, because we don't give life. God gives life, and God takes it. So we shouldn't take someone's life for rape case, because the thing is that you may, as sophisticated as you think you want to be, you may still make a mistake. You may take the life of a wrong and innocent person. To avoid that, first and foremost, train your law enforcement institution, get them the basic and fundamental training. When you get them the basic and fundamental training, get them the instrumentality to work with, get them the tools, get them the gadget to work with. When they have all of those things, then they go out there, they'll be able to put square pair in square hole, round pair in round hole, and be able to get to the exactness of what transpired. Then you know who have committed a crime. They will be able to get that particular person. So if a false accusation is made, because of the training and the logistics how well, they'll know the false accusation. If a truthful accusation is made, they'll be able to know the truthful accusation, and that person is thoroughly investigated. All of the evidence I gather and then the successful prosecution done, that person is placed behind bar for the rest of their life. I would suggest that they be placed behind bar for the rest of their life to serve as a deterrent. But taking away life, only God gives life and God takes it.
Some of our African sisters, like Ghana, I think someone last year or early this year, decided to introduce sex education within their schools. Do you recommend that for Liberia?
Indeed I do. Indeed I do. We need to do sex education. We need to do awareness. I do not know. I don't want to throw doubt on any institution of government, but I think the gender minister need to rise up to the occasion, considering very transparent. Especially a young minister who was serving the advocacy for a long time. Much is expected of her. I think she need to go move from behind the desk and be more blue collar than white collar, so that justice is served. And justice is served not only necessarily when you arrest someone. Justice is served too when you talk about awareness. If we do sufficient awareness, we start doing shimmy and other things, and then start arresting the actual perpetrator, investigating them, prosecuting them, putting them behind bar for the rest of their life. You see, that I think to some extent we'll be able to control the societal menace.
Okay, looking at this, people are saying there was a recent case of a 3-year-old girl, and that was proven. Such individual, everything has been proven, and people are still calling for castration, jumping into the street. This is a challenge for the country.
No, that is madness. I mean, 3-year-old girl, I just think of my daughter, Stephanie Zago. She's just 6. That is madness. I would think that with that kind of proving case and man of the public sentiment, those kind of people, when they are thoroughly investigated and we gather all the evidence and they are substantiated and we present our case in front of the judge and we get a prosecution, thank God there's a criminal code here, and we get a prosecution, that person is placed behind bar and placed behind bar for the rest of their life. And in the long run, as a country, what we may want to do, we may want to have a center. We may have a center like a correctional center or rehabilitation center. Take all of these Joe Blows who are falling prey to anything, who don't do wrongs. Take them there. Let them do some work for government. While they're there for the rest of their life, they are there doing hard labor. And as a country, if our peace and stability requires that we take the kind of action, we need to take it. Those who are accused of race, who are investigated and are convicted, placed behind bars for the rest of their life, and then subjected to hard labor. But how to go make enough agricultural farm for us as a country? And some of the agricultural farm, the produce taken from there are sold, and the survival survive on them for the rest of their life. Because you know what I mean when you break someone's virginity, you destroy them. Some of them would know how to try again. I was listening, it's just dangerous. So I think if we start to take some of those actions, you can bet that we will serve a deterrence, and others who will intend to, having seen what the colleagues go through, may learn a lesson and say, hey, I'm not going to do it again. But there's the other flip side to it. Rape issue at time is politicized, is wrongly accepted. So you need to have a skillful investigator who will know that look, they want politicized, they want wrongly accepted, and they want right there. So we have the kind of professional people, then we will do justice to the issue that is affecting our country as a country and the people.
One will say that those who have been affected, government should take care of them.
Government has the responsibility to do that because there's a social contract between the government and its people. People elect government for government to protect them. One of the basic things that we elect government for is to protect us. So people give, under the social contract people give away some of their rights, liberty, and responsibility to the government. So that we pay taxes to the government, so that government in return provide you services. And some of the services is the issue of protecting your liberty. So if we cannot protect them and these things happen, government should take some responsibility. It's against this background I'm saying there's a pressure on government. So all of those, and not only rapists alone. Take for some people who call for a lack of better words, Zogos. You know, we need to start finding an area, maybe Bomi Hills, or Grand Kemo, or Lofa, or Bapolo, some of the big forests. Take them there, have the military to supervise them. And they are highly disciplined. And again, provide training for them. And keep them there so that they are well rehabilitated. Because some of those who fall prey to raping are just not normal people. And some of them, again, there's a long range of problems. Maybe some of them fought the war, they didn't go through the red DDRR. And they were not demobilized, they were not disarmed, they were not rehabilitated, even if they were disarmed. But they were not demobilized, they were not rehabilitated. So we got a challenge. The rape issue is one thing. Even the issue of common crime. You know, miscrime all around here. Go 7 hours, keep on Broad Street. Zogo are taking over. We need to come up with some harsh punishment. Grab all of them if we can establish crime. And some of them now, we can't establish for vacancy, just rooming, doing nothing. There's the likelihood you'll commit crime when you see the opportunity. So we grab all of them, put them somewhere, put them Nimba, put them Lofa, Bapulu, a chemist open, where you manage them. You manage them in a way that every hour, there's the time they wake up, there's the time they exercise, there's the time they go to classes, do vocational training, then there's the time they actually work, make agriculture farm, do tailoring. And even if they show remorse, there'll be transition period to determine if you have reached the stage that you are rehabilitating, you can come back. And that doesn't refer to rapists. That refers to Zogos and other people who are involved in misdemeanor crime.
I know you're the lawmaker for the past 3 days now. You've seen what is happening on the street. You've heard it. You've read it. What are you saying among yourselves? Are you trying to work fast towards this?
Indeed, we are. And I'm granting you this interview. The second day it happened, I spent 4 hours in the traffic. And both sides of my car were stripped. The motorcyclists were trying to maneuver their way through the traffic because they were the only people that were moving. All of the cars were almost stationary. There was some lawmaker who said road motorboat kind of work. I had to finally stop my car somewhere around Satan. And then even though the bagpipes from the university, I climbed the step and I went in, my car remained parked. After work, though I was late because I had placed on the floor of the Liberian Senate the issue that had to do with the appearance of national security actors, public safety actors, rule of law actors, talking about the same crime issue and lawlessness in our society. That communication could not be read, could not be acted upon because I would the author. I wasn't in there. I went in there late, and when I went in there, I think we just about 9 senators. That was understandable because of the situation. So we ourselves, not only hearing it, we feeding it. We part of it. We didn't fall from the sky. We are Liberians. We represent the people's aspiration. What affect them affect us. So indeed, we're discussing among ourselves that there's a need to take some stringent action. There's a need to take an all-government approach. So it's not just the Minister of Gender, Minister of Justice. All-government approach means all the agencies involved, even the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Let's start to revive and strengthen our traditional laws, our custom and tradition, and the power, the Sunday. Sometimes the Western society see African culture as alienated. African culture as obsolete. But sometimes it's wrong. So now our culture is meant to make us who we are, make us a kind of a people. Take for example, I went to the Pora. I spent 6 months in the Pora society as a young man in the early 80s. So then, and my father went there, I think in the late 50s, he almost spent a year. And so what that does is that it trains you. It's not just meant for the way it's perceived by the Western people or the American, the European, that, oh, it's a cult or the secret society. It's meant to raise all good men and good women. So those of us who came from the 60s, 70s, those who came from the 50s, 60s, you can see our behavior pattern. Far better than those who are in the 90s, in the 2000s, the baby booms or the millennium. The millennials and the baby boom, they born today, they just grow big. You see the man is 15 years old, you won't believe it. The man 18 years old, won't believe it. You know, so, but if we, as a society, can come to that realization, we can be able to create that national approach, where all hands on deck, all agencies, not just one. And we all can do that, we'll be able to transform the society, beginning with the family as the beginning institution. The family may be the smallest, but the most important institution in the society. So if husband and wife, if we start making good decision of marriage, the woman you married to, the man you married to, the kind of children you're planning to bring up. Maybe say, look, looking at our capacity, let's bring up 2, 3. During those days, several years back, old man Chief Cody in Kolaun, Tamatilo in Foya, Telewoya in Vonyama, who raised several children. Because at the time we didn't have sophisticated medical facility, so having several kids meant prestige. But not having several kids doesn't mean prestige. So it had changed. So we had to go work on with the change reality.
Senator, your final words.
I think what I've been talking to you, all my final words have been there, but again, I just want to tell you thank you because the fact that you could feel concerned that you needed to hear from me as a lawmaker and as a person who chaired the Committee on Security and Intelligence, because what is happening now is a public safety concern, it's a security concern because it could degenerate. Because the kind of spontaneous action, there are other ill-mannered people who will infiltrate and want to create chaos. So I'm glad that the former president intervened. I'm glad that the former vice president intervened. I'm glad that the current vice president intervened. I'm even glad that some foreign embassies near our capital intervened. And I hope that the national security advisor to the president will be able to tell Mr. President next time, look, given the fact that we don't have plenty roads in our country, some of the things can be avoided by just meeting them, so that it can be solved, than to delay it because the harm has been created, the inconvenience has been created, businesses have been stalled, commerce have been stalled. So I don't think it was a good thing. I hope we can learn a lesson. I hope the National Security Advisor to the President, I hope the National Security Council will sit with Mr. President and be able to give him some advice on how to handle this kind of thing in the future.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're very much welcome.
That was Honorable Senator Steve Jago of Lofa County. This is KMTV, Liberal Online TV station. My name is Godfrey Bedukonza. Thanks for watching and thanks for your many comments.